Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you for inviting me.
Yes, we don't have another robot dog for you. There's only one robot dog per Yahoo Finance Invest. However, we do have some video of what Runway does. If we could see that up there, that would be wonderful. And I'd actually love for you to tell me a little bit about the video, what we're seeing. And I think it's really important to stress as you're watching something like this. The birds aren't real. The parrot isn't real. The peacock isn't real. Real in the sense that it exists in the world.
It's generated.
It's generated. So tell me what we're seeing.
This is part of a new update on a video model that we just released a couple of days ago. This technology allows you to turn words into video. So everything you're seeing here doesn't exist. I'm just generating this using either text prompts or images or combinations of both. I can go from any idea I have in my head, from any concept I have in my head, to full 18, 20 seconds of videos like the ones you're seeing this here. These are HD videos, and we're improving not only the quality, but also the consistency and the control of how you make these videos come to life.
Now, I want to start really big picture here. Are we in an AI boom or an AI bubble?
I mean, everything we're seeing right now, it's definitely a period of transformation. There's definitely a boom. There's definitely, over the last 12 months, we've seen incredible progress and speed of improvements. We've been working on
Why is that, do you think?
We've been working on Runway for 5 years, and it's definitely taken us time to get to where we are. And I think it's a combination of factors. On the one end, you have data, really good data coming to place, really good research and really good algorithms and new techniques that have been proven to work really well, and that takes time. And the third part I would say is a combination of compute. Compute has gotten to a place where we can train these large video models or these large multi-model systems way faster than ever before. I think we're definitely at an intersection point where things are converging, and we're seeing things like this.
Now, how fast is AI video advancing? Give me a timeline. Where were we 2 years ago and where are we today?
I mean, if I showed you what we were able to do 2 years ago, everyone would laugh. That's exactly the direction I had 2 years ago when I showed people
like stick figures, essentially.
I mean, it was, you ever seen a movie from the 1900s where you see silent movies, pixelated outputs, just black and white, really raw quality, and someone tells you we're gonna be able to have 4K video coming out of your cell phone in a couple of years. Everyone in the 1900s will tell you, come on. Of course not.
It sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy, right?
It sounds absolutely crazy.
So we were in the 1900s 2 years ago, right? And now we're entering the digital era, I would say, the 1980s of the camera, revolution. And I think it's I would say a consequence of those factors coming into play and becoming more evident for everyone else. But the model that we're showing you right here, the first version of that, we released it 6 months ago.
Now, but I think it's also important to sort of distinguish between what can be done and what can't be done.
Yeah.
So what can the video do right now and what is off the table?
So right now, these are tools to make and generate video and content. You can do audio, images, video, text, right? I think what's still part and central to that process is human creativity, right? So you're not typing movie, enter, and you get a movie, right? It's the same.
So I'm not going to be able to press a button and say, I have a full movie.
No, definitely not.
Ever.
Because a full movie, it's about a human intention. There's a story you want to tell. There's something that needs to come out of your head, and you're using a camera to tell that story, right? But it's the same thing as saying, now that we have a camera, you're going to become a filmmaker. Which is not technically true, right? You need a camera to become a filmmaker, but having a camera will not make you a filmmaker.
Does not make you a filmmaker.
And will not make you win an Oscar, right? It's knowing how to use the camera to tell a good story that will make you a filmmaker. And so this is somehow very similar. It's you have these models, you can create amazing, incredible things that perhaps you never thought you would create, but that necessarily won't make you a filmmaker. What make you a filmmaker will be the ability for you to transfer that technology into an idea, into a story someone wants to watch and entertain themselves with.
And right now the model you have, it's about 15 seconds of video,
yes.
Right? What is the goal eventually? What's the end game?
Sure. So first of all, on that, line of human imagination, continue to build more tools for people to tell more stories using this technology. That means two main things on the research side. One, quality. Again, this is a model that was just 6 months old. So 6 months ago, you couldn't do this, now you're here. Making sure that you can continue to push the boundaries of that is still our main focus. And the second one is control. Control becomes crucial in any creative endeavor. You really want to make sure that you can control these models in any way, shape, or form that you want. So If you have an object walking or a person walking, or you want to control the camera, the angle, the type, the form, all of those things are needed because that would allow you to tell the story you want to tell. And so control comes in the form of manipulating the objects within the video or how you want to tell, how you want to move them. And that's still something new because, again, all of this is pretty new still.
Now, in terms of Runway's future, Runway, I believe, reportedly valued at $1.5 billion. How do you think about competition? There are a lot of AI models out there, a lot of visual AI models out there. What distinguishes Runway? How do you think about competition, say, from ChatGPT? Do you consider ChatGPT to be a competitor? Bard?
Not
Meta,
really.
Meta's Llama? All of them?
There's a lot.
There's no shortage.
No, there's a lot of models these days. So I guess a good distinction is Runway. We started Runway thinking about the idea of Runway and working on Runway 8 years ago. The company is now turning 5. I think we turned 5 years just like last week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We're still at the early stages though. And
So you still think of it as really early days?
Yeah, 100%. It's so early, it's year 0. I mean, it's everything beyond what before was just pure research, and it still is research. But now we're entering a phase of usage, of production-ready results, but it's still year 0 of that. So Runway has been working on this for almost 5 years now. And I think what's important to remember is that there's more than just the model that you're seeing out, right? It's the way you use the model and the safety mechanisms that you have in place and the way you improve the model and the way you deliver that model to millions of users over time and the way you keep doing that forever and ever and ever, what distinguishes and I think makes a very good company a very good company. I think these days there's a lot of models and I think that's great, but I necessarily won't consider a model a company. So those are for me different things. Having a model, it's like having a great piece of software, but a great piece of software won't necessarily make you a great company. It's the people that make the software and the models themselves what makes a great company. And that's something we're working on for almost 5 years now.
Yeah, and when it comes to, sort of to that end, when you think about Runway, it's really cool, but what are the use cases? What do you expect people to be using it for? What do you expect people to be paying for?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, these are tools for creatives. And so if you want to tell a story, these are the tools you can use. With that in mind, there's, I would say, both a business kind of like set of creative opportunities for agencies, production teams, studios, advertising companies, broadcasting companies that we actually work with right now. And those are for things that go at the pre-production stage and the post-production. Pre-production is everything that happens where you are thinking or crafting an idea. So storyboarding, script writing, trying to work with everything on the early stages of the idea. And so these videos and these tools are great for exactly doing that. Now, the key difference from the way you're doing it right now is that these tools allow you to do it faster than ever before. So you can go from idea to execution in minutes. And that might have taken you perhaps hours or sometimes days in the past.
So are those people advertisers in theory?
I mean, if you want to make a movie these days, the first thing when you make a movie,
if you're just a filmmaker.
Just a filmmaker. I mean, we work a lot with filmmakers, renowned filmmakers that make films for years. The first stage of making any piece of film or content is you need to come out with a good story. And the way you iterate in the stories, you write a script. And so you have tools that can allow you to iterate faster on that script writing, right? Now that you have the script, you need to visualize it because you need to pitch it perhaps to a producer, to a company, to someone that wants to help you make that movie. Creating a storyboard is like you're making it by hand. You're drawing things by hand. Wouldn't it be great if you can just generate every single like view or previs of my shot before I even have to like do it by hand, right?
So what you're saying is this could even help people sell a movie.
Oh, of course, 100%. That's the previs aspect. That's the pre-production aspect. It's like you're iterating on creating the idea and selling the idea. And that happens for filmmakers, but also for advertisers or for anyone who wants to make a story. And then on the post-production side, this is where it becomes really interesting because most of the things, we've been talking about generative AI for some time. I'm sure everyone has heard about AI-generated videos and movies and images, right?
Once or twice.
But if you think really about the idea of computer-generated imagery, that has been around for years, decades. There's a term for that. It's called CGI. And so literally computer-generated imagery. When we look at Jurassic Park, we all understand those are not real dinosaurs, right?
They're not? Sorry.
They're generated, right?
When I was a kid, I did think they were.
But that's my point, and superheroes don't fly, right? That's all generated by computers, right?
The same way that parrot is not real, even though it looks really good.
I know. And so this is the same. These are tools to create computer-generated imagery. The only difference, though, is that it's not now in the hands of those who can afford to make it, right? Or those who have the skills of the craft to make it. It's those who have the good ideas that can now make it. So the constraints on storytelling are not going to be bounded to budgets, who do you know in the industry or how much knowledge do you have about an obscure technique. It's about how good is your idea. And then you can use these tools to execute that idea, right? And that's the pre-production side. And when I see a larger revolution is that transformation will allow people to tell stories that we never heard of before. And so we're going to start seeing movies and watching stories that we might have never heard of before because of this.
Well, and there are a lot of concerns sort of to that end where there's all going to be this explosion of content, all these things that weren't possible before. It seems like you're pretty adamant that Runway's technology will not replace human filmmakers. Will it displace jobs in Hollywood?
I think it's important to understand that technology always augments humans. And this is the story of Hollywood has been marked by moments like this before. This is not the first time that in an industry, in particularly Hollywood, has been thinking about technology and how it's going to impact jobs, right? There used to be orchestras playing in theaters. And so there were live musicians playing the music for the silent movies, right? And when talkies, that was the name people referred to for music with inside movies, there was a lot of questions around what happens with the orchestra in the movie and who's going to pay for that, right? And the thing is that it changed. So the key word here is change. It's not replacement, it's augmentation, right? So you might not need an orchestra, but now you have a whole industry of music around filmmaking, much bigger perhaps than the orchestra movie industry at the time, right? And so for me, this is something very similar where it's not about replacing the entire industry, it's about augmenting processes and changing those. And so I think the key factor now here, and one of how I spend most of my time these days, and specifically in Hollywood, is helping people understand the magnitude of the change and help them transition into that because it's already happening.
And sort of, on a broader societal level as well, I know there are a lot of concerns about AI-powered video going into the 2024 election. How should we be thinking about that? How are you thinking about that?
I mean, in the same way that we think about CGI these days, like you can make generated footage of anyone saying anything without AI. If you have the means and the resources, you can do it, right? But there's rules and norms and systems that prevent us from doing that, right? We have societal terms around how to deal with that kind of content. We should apply those same terms to these outputs. So we should think about the outputs of the models and how to make sure those are safe and not constrain the technology and the innovation happening at the technology side.
And then in terms of, I know I'm not allowed to ask if you're going public, but looking ahead, what does success look like for you? How do you manage those outputs? How do you manage the growth of the company? And how do you make sure it all stays safe?
I mean, we're still pretty much at early stages. I mean, again, it's year zero. My only focus as driving the company is to continue inventing this. We've been working for this very hard, and we're not even realizing yet the whole potential of it. Again, Gen 2, which is just the videos you saw, those are 6 months old. And so we're working towards getting this to better quality, better results, and also to the next billion set of filmmakers out there. I think the saying that we have at Runway that I think influences and help us shape a lot of our product is to really think about that the best movies and the best stories are yet to be made. The golden era of cinema is yet to become, and we need to build that.
Chris Valenzuela, thank you so much. We are going to have to leave it there.
Thank you.